Maayong hapon, partners! Kamusta po tayong lahat? We are thrilled to see you joining us today. I am your host, Phila Claire Cui Bensi, and on behalf of ARC1 and our partner, People's HR, welcome to our webinar From People to Payroll, Smarter HR and Finance Processes. So this is all about ditching those manual double entries and achieving true efficiency. So let's hit the ground running. To ensure smooth sailing, please mute your microphone. And if you have questions specifically about the integration, the SAP Business One processes, or the payroll, please use the chat box and we will address them during the Q&A segment. So thank you very much for your cooperation. And if you believe in smarter HR and finance, follow us, search for ARC1 Solutions Inc. on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And please subscribe now to stay updated on the integration tips and best practices. So to set the vision for how this collaboration is helping organization move from manual HR pain points to automated integrated finance, I am honored to introduce the visionary leader of ARC1. Please give a virtual welcome to our CEO, Engineer Erwin Padrique. Hi, sir.
Hi, Phil. Thank you very much for that generous introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. I hope I'm very audible. And thank you for joining us today. You're here primarily because your people matter. Tama po ba? Yung mga kasama natin or our employees matter. And because you as a practitioner are expected to deliver results, stay compliant, keep employees engaged, and make right decisions. Often, correct me if I'm wrong, with limited time and growing complexity. Tama po ba? That's pressure is real. Totoo yung pressure na yan. But today, it's all about making your job easier. This session is designed around a simple idea. When HR is clear, connected, and data-driven, you gain confidence, speed, and control. You can focus less on manual work, firefighting, and more on building a workforce that actually drives your business forward. Our collaboration with People's HR exists for one reason alone, to support you with the right technology and right guidance. So, HR works the way it should in the background, pero merong impact. That's what we're striving for. So, whether you're in this journey, ongoing, or still trying to explore, today you'll walk away with practical insights you can use immediately. So, as we begin, ask ourselves, what would change if our HR systems truly supported the outcomes we are responsible for? So again, ulitin ko lang, what would change if our HR systems truly supported the outcomes we're responsible for? So sige, let's get started. So Pila, back to you.
Thank you so much, Sir Erwin. So indeed, the efficiency we are promising today is built on one core element, the powerful partnership between ARC1 and People's HR. So now let's look at the roadmap to achieving that seamless HR and finance operation. So we start with the ERP backbone for all the finance professionals who are manually tracking the employee receivables, payables. Our goal here is to show you how SAP Business One becomes the single source of truth. Please welcome our SAP Business One functional consultant, Miss Alexandra Pilarca. Hi, Lex.
There.
I can
Okay,
hear
so
you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Fila, and thank you, partners, for joining for today's webinar. Let me share my screen for the presentation. Okay. So, as mentioned earlier, the discussion today is to process what are the processes related to employees in organization. So, these are the common scenarios in organization. So, I believe there are still companies that are doing it manually. So, these three topic. So, this afternoon, we will show to you how to automate these processes in SAP Business One. So first, we have employee cash advances for liquidation. So we have two processes that can be done in SAP. So first is we have employee. First is we have to use employee as vendor business partner. Second is to create manual journal entry. So the difference between the two processes is that in option A, employees, it will be treated as business partner and will be added in business partner master data. And then in option B, the finance or the staff will create manually the journal entry and select the correct GL account for the employee advances. So in organization, the very common pain points we encounter is having a hard time in tracking or in tracing cash advances to employees. So basically, if that is our focus, so the best practice would be the option A. So let me show you on how we can automate this process in SAP Business One. Okay, so this is the SAP Business One. Basically, these are the available module inside the application, and for us to process or to automate the liquidation or the cash advances, we will be accessing first the business partner module, and then we also need to access the banking module. And next is the purchasing module. Okay. So first is in banking module. Oh, no. In first in business partner module, we will create a business partner, which is the employee. So like say for example, I will be added as vendor. So let's say Alexandra Pilarca. So I am added as vendor at the same time classified as employee. So next setup need to be done is in accounting tab, you need to link the accounts payable to employee advances or accounts payable employee. Okay? Another thing I want to highlight is the account balanced. So as you can see, it is zero. Ibig sabihin, wala pa pong binibigay si company kay empleyado. So later, makikita po natin yung changes from zero to a certain amount, which the amount requested by the employee. So we will close this document and proceed for the next step. So the next would be recording on the release of cash advance. So in banking module, we have outgoing payment and then we have outgoing. So this is the document wherein we will process or automate the release of cash to the employee. So we will now select the employee. So it's Alexandra Pilarca. And then we have the dates. Then next is the payment means. So this is on how to record or recognize the way of release of the fund. So let's say for example, for this scenario, we will record the cash advance amounting 50,000. Okay. So after that, click OK. And then we also have branch selection. We also have remarks portion wherein we can add details as a supporting for the transaction. So we can input here cash advance. Okay, so upon adding of the document, there will be an automatic creation of journal entry. So when we add the document, so click add and then click, okay, yes, then add. So to counter check what is the posted journal entry, so right click journal entry. So there is a automatic posting of journal entry. So we have a credit of the bank, and then we have a debit on the employee advances. So that's the name of the employee. So basically, posting of this document recognizes accounts payable. So we will now check on the business partner master data what is the effect or the changes made after the posting of the transaction. So click the yellow arrow. So in the upper right, in accounts balance, from 0, it becomes 50. So basically, SAP records or recognize the amount of 50 pesos, which is issued or released to the employee. So next is, so for example, the employee is already used, no, the fund. So ang next po natin gagawin is to recognize naman the expense or to record. So that's the time wherein the liquidation comes in. So next is the module of purchasing AP. So under purchasing AP, we have AP invoice document. So in AP invoice document, we will need to select the employee name to record the expenses. So that's Alexandra Pilorca, and then we will input the date of the transaction. And next is the branch. So if you have a branch set up in the company. So next is we in description we will input what kind of expense incurred, no, for the employee. So let's say for example we have transpo expense or transportation expense. So that's transportation expense. And then after that, we will select the correct GL account in related on the transportation expense. So we have transportation. Okay, so click choose. So we also have a type of tax code. So in SAP, we have different kind of tax code that we need to set up. So for this is we will be using the IVAT NA for the transportation expense. So let's select, and then we will input now the amount. So let's say for example, the cash advance amounting 50,000 is also the total amount incurred for the transportation expense. So we will input the 50,000, and then we will post the transaction. So in remarks, we can also add the remarks. So cash advance liquidation. Okay. So next is add the document. So upon posting, there will be an automatic journal entry. So to counter check, so journal entry, so we have recognition of expense. So basically, what you can see is SAP recorded the employee name. So that's the advance. So amounting of 50,000. Next entry is we have recognition of expense, which is the transportation expense. So that's 50,000 also. So it offset the total amount that was released to the employee. So let's see what would be the effect on the business partner master data. So let's close the document and open the business partner master data. So in the yellow arrow, we can view here the account balance. So as you can see, the amount of 50,000 decreases and go back to zero. Ibig sabihin po, yung nirelease natin na pera is na-incurred siya lahat doon sa expense ni employee. So, to check also the uh, actually in doing liquidations, there are three scenarios every time we do liquidation. So, first is we have okay, let me check first. So, okay. So in doing liquidation, we have different types. So for example, if the cash advance is if the cash advance of the employee is greater. So if the cash advance of if the expense rather is lesser than the advances, then the employee will return the cash and it will be recorded in incoming payments. So incoming payment can be found in banking module. So we have banking and then we have incoming payment. Okay. So, second scenario for the liquidation, if the expense is greater than the advances, well, the company will replenish and release the cash through the recording of outgoing payment. So, outgoing payment is just below there. Okay, so the third scenario, if the expense is equal to the advances, so basically, magko-close po yung account natin, yung advances natin. So, yung pinakita natin kanina na, na transaction, yun yung example natin when the expense is equal to the advances. So, okay. So next is when we go back to the posted AP invoice earlier, yung ginawa nating liquidation of expenses, pwede nating tignan yung internal reconciliation natin. So to check, select the employee name, then reconcile. So upon clicking the reconcile button, ito po yung makikita natin. So basically, yung makikita natin is dalawang line. The first line is the issuance of cash advances amounting 50,000. The second line is the recognition of expense or recording of liquidation. So that's another 50,000. So ibig sabihin mag-offset po yung amount natin. So in this way, kung titignan po natin ulit yung AP invoice document, ang status niyan would be open document. Why it is open document? It is because it is an independent document created for the liquidation. Okay, so there you go. So open po yung magiging status natin. So the proper practice in ACP Business One is dapat lahat naka-close yung mga account, especially if wala na pong mga related transaction na gagawin or wala na po tayong gagawing mga higher document. So to close that, we need to reconcile this transaction. So click reconcile and then click OK. So to check, we will open the AP module, the purchasing AP module, and then AP invoice document. So, hanapin po natin yung document. So, ayan. So, from the open status, nag-close na po siya. So, the effect would be, hindi na tayo makakapag-transact kasama sa ang document na to. So, hindi na po tayo makakapag-proceed into higher document since the transaction is already closed. So, there. Okay. So, the next window also showing to you the flow or the related transaction posted to a specific employee. So, in one glance, I believe if you are doing it in manual, what we do is to check pa. So, isa-isahin pa natin yung mga related document natin for that employee. So, in SAP, in one click natin, in yellow arrow, the SAP will show to you all the documents or all the transactions that is related to a specific employee. So in one glance, you can already check no if meron ka pa bang dapat sisingilin kay empleyado or wala. So that is available in SAP Business One. And another thing, there are different type of reports. So it can be in bar graph or in line graph. So yan naman is all standard. Available po natin sa SAP Business One. So that's the cash advances using employee as a vendor and added into a business partner master data. So next would be the employee cash advances for salary deduction. So instead of doing liquidation, what we do is the cash advance will be paid through salary deduction to the employee. So this would be the process. So first is we will need to create issuance again. So same what we did earlier, we will release a cash advance to employee. So in banking module, we will record the release of cash. So let's say for example, banking, outgoing payment, outgoing, select the employee. So that's Alexandra Pilarca. And then we have also a select the dates. So as you can see for now, so since what we do earlier is equal yung cash advance and the expense. So, nag-zero yung account balance for the employee. Now, we will do another transaction wherein the cash advance will be paid back to the company through the salary deduction. So, for now, zero yung account balance ni employee. So, we will now close this document and proceed on the issuance of cash advance. So, payment means, so let's say for example, amounting of um, 15,000. Okay, so click OK. So, we have branch selection. We also have remarks wherein we can add the release of cash advance. So, click yes, add, and then there will be a creation of journal entry. So, the journal entry would be we have credit of bank. So we have 15,000. We have debit of the employee. So that's the advances, GL account. So amounting of 15,000. Now that we are done on the recording of the release of cash advanced, what we will process next. So there. So in account balance, the 15,000 is reflected. So next would be the processing of salary. Okay. So the processing of salary will be done in financial module. So financial, and then we have journal entry. Okay. So this is the document of the journal entry or the manual creation of journal entry. So here we have the remarks wherein we can put the details. So let's say for example for the payout December 15, for the cut-off period of December 1 to December 10. Okay, so for example, is ganun po yung magiging setup natin. Next would be the selection of, okay, December 2025. Next would be the selection of the branch. Okay, so next would be the selection of the salaries and wages GL account. Okay, so salaries and wages. So that's okay. Choose and then the amount. So let's say for example, this employee the salary would be 30,000. Okay. So debit of amounting 30,000. So next line is the selection of the uh, employee name. So the advances. So select the employee name. Okay. Alexandra. Okay. Wait. Okay. So there you go. So we need to pull out the advances account, which is the employee name. Okay. So we able to release of cash advance of 15,000. So let's say for example the agreement is it will be paid in three gives or three times. So it would be 5,000 each payout. So we will input the 5,000 in credit, and also the next line would be the bank. So select GL account. Let's say for example, BPI. Okay. So the balance would be 25,000. So as you can see, the net pay of the employee will be amounting of 25,000. So we will now post this document. Okay. So click add. Okay. So next is we will check what would be the effect of the transaction. So if we go to account balance, if we go to business partner master data and the account balance, from the amount of 15,000, after recording of the salaries and wages, including the payment of the cash advance, so it becomes 10,000. So that's the 15,000 less the 5,000 pesos. So that would be the effect of the side of the employee or the account balance. So we will now close the transaction. So, in every doing a processing of payroll, we have the option to reconcile or do the initial reconciliation to check if how much is the balance of the employee, or we can also do the final reconciliation once all amount is been paid or deducted in the salaries and wages. So this one, we will try to do the initial reconciliation. So select the employee name, then click reconcile. So you will see the two lines. So first line is the release of the cash advance amounting 15,000, and the second line would be the recognition no of the payment the employee, or recognition nung nag-record tayo for the salaries and wages. So what will happen is we will edit the 15,000 to 0, or to reconcile the transaction. Okay, so that's 5,000. And then click reconcile. Okay. So we will check what would be the effect after we click the reconcile button. Okay, sige, wait. Okay, so click yes. So as you can see, the amount changes. So, from the 15,000, the amount makikita po natin is 10,000 na lang yung balance ni employee. So, this will be deducted on the succeeding payroll process natin. So, the same process sa financial module pa din. So, that's the process and the difference between cash advances on doing liquidation and cash advances if we do the salary deduction. So the next scenario would be the petty cash fund or the revolving fund. So for third scenario, these are very common to businesses to practice. The practice would be a certain amount will be given to a custodian, and the fund will be used to for everyday expenses and for minor expenses a company, no? But this and everything and every release of the fund is dapat meron tayong equivalent na receipt, or yes, official receipt. So, the whatever the expense dues, yun din is i-replenish natin. So, it will be replenished and returned to the petty cash custodian. So, the very common process to this is the Empress system. So for the Empress system, what we can automate this in SAP is first is we need to establish the petty cash fund or the release to the custodian. So in banking module, we have outgoing payment, then outgoing. So we need to tick or to check to click the on account, and then fill up the date, and then select the branch. So, in GL account, we need to tag the asset account. So, that's, for example, petty cash fund, marketing. Okay. So, as you can see, zero po yung amount natin. Ibig sabihin, the company has not released any amount pa sa marketing team natin for the use for mga expenses nila or for their petty cash fund. So later, once we record the release of petty cash fund, mag-change po yung amount natin. Okay, so that's okay. So close natin. So we will now input the amount amounting of 15,000, for example. So next is we have remarks. So in remarks, we can input or the details of the release of petty cash fund. Okay. So, in next is the payment means wherein we will recognize or release the amount. So, in payment means we will input the amount which is the 15,000. So, that's 15,000. Click OK. Okay. So, once we add that, there will be a journal entry. So, to counter check, the journal entry upon posting would be we have credit of the bank or the disbursement bank, and then we have rather credit of the disbursement bank, and then we have a debit of the petty cash fund marketing. So that's an asset GL account in the company. So to check, so if we click the yellow arrow, it will divert to chart of account. So as you can see, there will be a balance amounting of 15,000. So on the side of the company, the scenario is they released amount of 15,000 to marketing team, which will be used as the petty cash fund for their expenses. So next, once we establish the petty cash fund, is to record the expenses of the petty cash fund. So that will be done under financial module. So in financial module, we have journal entry. So in journal entry, we have remarks. So we can input here marketing expenses for the period of, like for example, December 1 to December 10. So there is no limitations on the character for the remarks. So select the branch. So next is we need to select the GL account. So we have petty cash fund marketing. Okay. So this one, let's say for example, 10,000. The amount is 10,000. So it means that the marketing team also incurred a total expense of 10,000. So let's say, for example, transportation expense amounting of 5,000. So choose, and then we have 5,000. Another expense could be representation for meal. So we have representation, and then, okay, select, choose. So another 5,000. So once we record this transaction, there is an impact on the petty cash fund GL account. So to check, we will go to the yellow arrow or golden arrow in petty cash fund marketing. So as you can see, from the amount of 15,000, the after recording in the journal entry, the expense has been recognized, so it deducted. So from 15,000, nagbaba po siya ng 10,000. So right now, as the side of the company, I would assume that marketing people has still money for the petty cash of amounting 5,000. Okay. So once we already record the expenses for the petty cash fund, what we will do is we need to replenish, no, so that we can return again the fund to the marketing. So that's under banking, outgoing payment, and outgoing payment. So on account, select the branch, and then select the asset GL accounts, that's petty cash fund marketing. Okay. So we will now input the amount of the total expense. So that's 10,000. Okay. For the remarks, we can put PCF replenishment. So in payment means we will just input the amount, which is the 10,000. Click OK. Okay. And then add document. Okay, so we will now check what will happen on the GL account. So in GL account, there is credit of the bank, disbursement bank, and then we have a debit of petty cash fund marketing. So ibig sabihin, binalik po natin kay marketing yung total amount ng expense nila para po mabuo ulit yung issuance natin of 15,000. Okay, so chart of account, ayan, bumalik na po siya sa 15,000 yung amount natin. Okay, so clicking on the yellow arrow beside the balance would also show you the transactions related to the GL account, asset GL account, which is the petty cash fund marketing. So there is three lines. So first line, issuance of the cash advance, which is the 15,000. Second line would be the recognition of expense, a total of 10,000. Third line is the replenishment of the expenses. So, the same, 10,000. So, a total of, you can see the accumulative balance, bumalik po siya sa 15,000, which is yung una nating inisyu natin kay marketing team. So, that's the concept of replenishment or the impressed system inside SAP Business One. So, there. So, okay. So, that's the end of my presentation. For the question, you can send it in the chat box and will be answered later during the Q&A segment. Over to you, Fila.
Thank you, Lex, for showing us the path to a clear process. So now we move on to the integration engine. This is where People's HR steps in to automate the heaviest lift in your accounting cycle. We have a powerful panel of experts from People's HR. We have Mr. Riazi, Mr. Manuel, and Mr. Demi. They will detail how to achieve simplifying Philippine payroll and compliance for 2026. Please welcome our distinguished speakers from People's HR.
Hi, good afternoon. I assume you can hear me. So as
Yes, we can hear you,
I th
sir.
I think I'll take the cue from Fila. I guess everybody, well, most of you are from Cebu. So mayong hapon sa inyo. Mayong hapon if anybody is from Western Visayas, and magandang hapon po if
We
you're from
also have
Manila.
from Luzon, sir.
Yeah,
From Manila.
magandang
Yes.
hapon po. So very good. So we're Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, I assume. So great, and thank you very much for attending this and for having me, and and to spend this afternoon with you. So hopefully I'll talk about Philippine payroll, no? Which is obviously close to our hearts, no? So yeah, Denali. So yeah, so based on studies, payroll is the #1 recurring pain point in the Philippines. So why is that? Why is payroll really the #1 recurring pain point? Well, there are several factors to it. No, well, for me, the #1 reason is payroll is very personal to us. So it is the reason that we make sacrifices, that we commute. Well, if you're from Manila, you commute 2 to 3 hours a day just going, and then another 2 to 3 hours coming back. No, but it's the reason we separate ourselves from our loved ones. And where we spend most of our waking hours just to get our payroll. So that's why it's very payroll is really very personal for us. And for employers, this is your first level of engagement with the employees, with your colleagues. So this is where you build your trust. This is where your first step towards employee engagement. Without this, you will destroy trust. And can you imagine working for an organization where nobody trusts each other? So, and of course, errors in payroll can lead to not only financial consequences, but also some legal, and it can destroy your brand. So it's very critical for, and that's why payroll is a recurring pain point here in the Philippines. So next slide. So yeah, so what is the reality of Philippine payroll? So I mean, there's so many things that we want to point out, but I guess we'll just look at three top consequences that we have seen, with our engagements with several of our clients and conversations with organizations such as yours, and my decades long of experience talking to HR or payroll teams in the country. So first, of course, the compliance bit. So we are not only we should only be compliant to our organization's business policies and business rules, but of course we need to be compliant with DOLE, with SSS, with Pag-ibig, with PhilHealth, and of course our favorite BIR. So Can you imagine the amount of alignment there in terms of recalculations and thinking about penalties and delayed contribution and the way it cascades and affects our employees? Once they go to SSS and then they said that they hadn't gotten any contribution from your organization, the shock, no? So that's number one. Number two is the amount of integration that's needed to run payroll. So we start with, where do we get our attendance data? No? Some of us still use logbooks. Some of us still some of us use biometrics. Some is Excel sheets. And can you imagine, connecting this to your time and to your leave reports, to your loan reports, and all of these disconnected systems, no? Can you imagine reconciling those touch points to each other so that we can come up with a one single data and business rule document that we can compute payroll accurately? And of course, we'll talk a little bit more on the human cost of people like you, no? Who spend a lot of time during payroll runs, which happens, by the way, twice a month. So yeah. So next slide, please. So this is what we have seen out in the market in 2025. So payroll errors affect 1 of 4 employees worldwide, not only in the Philippines. So and it's often linked when we do our root cause analysis. It often links to manual payroll processes. And this is a study made by Ernst & Young in their global payroll survey. There's still a lot of companies that use Excel-based payroll, which can take up to 80% longer time to process, rather than an automated system. And then why is this? No, because again, you're getting data from different sources, trying to reconcile them, making sure that the formulas within Excel are valid, are still okay, making sure that the deductions are there, and then the crediting is there, and the bank accounts are correct, and so on, and then getting those reports, preparing the 4 reports, no, the SSS Pag-ibig, what did I miss? PhilHealth, and of course the BIR 1601. Is it 1601C? Yep, or 1601C. So there, and then of course again going back to the data fragmentation of time logs in different tools, OT and another, and by the way, yung mga pahabol, those things, that adjustments are sent via emails outside of a system. And then sometimes it's in, I don't know if your sticky notes, sometimes it's placed on the computer just to remind us that there are some adjustments that need to be made. So that gives a lot of headaches, according to PricewaterhouseCoopers in their annual HR Tech report. Next slide, please. And finally, of course, the human cost, or burnout to you guys, or those who are processing, not only for HR, but also for finance teams that are doing payroll or running our payroll. So this leads to a lot of late nights, triple checking, making sure that everything, every box has been ticked, validating all of those numbers, and add to that is chasing approvals. Are the timesheets approved by the supervisor? Is finance has approved is this aligned with the payroll budget? Are OTs okay and not beyond what was expected? So on and so forth. And this leads to, of course, a lot of exhaustion, which leads to mistakes, obviously. And these mistakes can have legal consequences and financial consequences, which leads to complaints, distrust, and ultimately will lead to attrition. So can you imagine? I was shocked when I saw their statistics, that 75% of payroll professionals report stress and overtime. And that's why within HR, they have the highest burnout rate or turnover rate as well, which is costing your organization around 2 times the salary to replace them. And I just had lunch with an HR consultant, and this is the conversation that we have, really that companies would really want to focus um, on getting the employer brand right, on getting their culture right, and getting the strategic part of HR right. However, what prevents companies from doing that is really that their HR operations, which includes payroll, is creating a lot of noise, and that's what's blocking companies from going to that level, because they're having a hard time at doing HR operations well. Now, enough of the bad stuff, or well, it's not really bad stuff, it's the reality. Or some of us would look at it as an opportunity where we can improve on. So I will now turn you over to my colleague, Riazi, who has been in the Philippine market for at least 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. So he knows the Philippine market very well. And this is the proposition that he will offer to you. So take it away, Riazi.
Thank you, Manolo. Thank you very much. I think that was quite insightful, and I think one of the most controversial topics we always bring up most of the time when it comes to our customers. So once again, thank you very much, everyone, for giving us this opportunity. So I just want, before I actually touch on these 4 pillars, I just want to highlight something. So, I mean, while working with our customers, while we actually got our payroll fully compliant for Philippine payroll, so we actually understood a lot of things as to what our customers do, how they actually process things, how much of time which was taken. And let me actually highlight a very interesting story. So I have one of my customers who to date actually sometimes was actually giving their payroll outsourced to a third party. And then when we first actually went and actually presented our payroll solution, the compliance, I mean, simply they did not believe that we were able to actually, get this done end to end, because they had certain, reference numbers which they had to use in terms of, processing attendance data. I mean, they were using a system, but it was not fully, automated. So when we actually showcased as to how this process can be fully automated end to end, so that you don't have to spend weeks in terms of processing payroll, you could actually get this done within a single day. It was quite surprising, and once we implemented this and once we actually got it done, this was actually a true transformation story which we actually created for this customer. So if you look at the 4 pillars of a future-ready payroll, so one of the most important factors why you actually subscribe for a system is to make sure that you see accuracy. So during every cutoff, you don't need to actually have errors. Everything actually has to be taken care of by the system, so that you don't have to go back, check everything one by one. I mean, if you're doing that, you might as well actually use an Excel sheet instead of actually using a system. So having that accuracy is quite important. And then compliance. Now, I know Manolo mentioned a lot of areas when it comes to compliance about the Wakibigs, PhilHealth. Now, if you do understand, government statutory bodies keep updating this. They do not actually, keep the same policies every day. I mean, even in the recent past, we saw some updates coming. Even if you see how the reporting was supposed to be done was actually changed. So PeoplesHR as a service, what we actually do to make sure for our customers, we actually make sure that we actually provide that auto updates. Basically, even there's an update, we basically make sure that we pass this through to the system, so that you don't have to again worry about the statutory updates. For an example, you run the payroll according to the previous update this month, and then if the statute has actually mandated saying that starting next month things needs to change, you will be just running the payroll like you were actually running, but things in terms of the statute would have automatically changed within the system, so that you don't have to actually sweat about it. And also audit ready, because end of the day, transparency is quite important. So all of these elements are being audited, so that you don't have to worry, even if you're actually working with third-party buyers, where you have to actually show that you're compliant when it comes to most of these areas. These are fully audit ready. And again, transparency. Basically, employees, leaders, they share the same truth. I mean, when it comes to how an employee is actually apply for leaves, attendance, it has a very transparent process as to how it is supposed to be done. Even goes to the level of actually having escalations if at all things are not done properly on time, because an employee could actually apply, example, for a leave today, but at the end of the day, the supervisor would have actually taken multiple days to approve this. So how do we look at treatment? So basically, these are being taken care so that the payroll team doesn't have to suffer and wait until everything is cleared out to lock the payroll. And also scalability. Now we know as organizations, sometimes when you start growing, your own country or the what you call your own boundaries might actually not be enough. You actually start moving out of your own regions to different regions within Philippines or even outside of Philippines, where you'll actually start operating. So how do you make sure that your provider supports your growth ambitions, so that they will grow with you, not actually bound? Because if you, for an example, even if you take within Philippines, if you go to a different state, you have different rules, different what you call computations, which needs to be taken care of. If you go outside the country, you have different statutes which actually comes in and needs to be taken care of. So how does that actually work? So these are some of the four future ready pillars you have to actually look at for a payroll solution. Going to the next slide. So then let's look at how people's HR help. I know that I actually gave some of the elements on the previous slide itself, but see again, when it comes to people's HR, we want to make sure that we are 100% compliant when it comes to the local taxation. So we put every effort. It's not only just a consultant who actually gives us that input, but we also have our local resources who actually actively, hunt for this information, so that we are always first to be known in terms of the payroll compliance, and so that all your reporting, everything is actually taken from the system without any flaws. Manolo did actually speak about the integrations. I know what happens is when you actually use a system, it should be a single source. You don't have to actually, depend on different solution systems to actually bring this data. For an example, attendance. Now, we know Philippines follow a very complex OT pattern. You have what you call rest days off, special holiday OT premiums, all these kind of elements which is coming into your payroll computation. So how does the system actually capture this information right from your biometric or whatever the method you're currently deploying in terms of capturing attendance, compute them and provide it to payroll without you having to actually, provide Excels. Uh, and then it's not only this, but also when it comes to integrations, we have other systems, because basically outside systems which probably compute what you call production information and so on and so forth. So how do you bring those information to actually do computation so that you can fully automate this process? I mean, just giving you a simple example. So recently we were working with a customer and they were mentioning about recruitment referrals given by employees. So they want to make sure that they have a track. So I asked, what's the purpose? Because there's a referral bonus which is being paid. So I said, no, why do you just need to track? Why don't you automate it through a full integration? Whereas if the reference is there, if the employee has stayed for 3 months, basically the payout will actually be reflected into the payroll and paid out. So this is how you make things simplified. I already spoke about scalability, so definitely we can actually support you on your scalability aspects. And then last but not least, the AI. So there's a lot of things which has actually transformed within HR when it comes to AI and how we do our things as an HR professional. So I am not going to spend time trying to explain what it does, but I'm sure my colleague Deminta will actually give you a glance as to how this really works in the real life while he shows the system as well. Devinta?
Hi, Yazi. Good afternoon. Very good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much for participating today. Good to see a lot of people here engaging with us. So let me quickly go into People's HR demo. But before, let me tell you what exactly you are going to experience today. So basically, this is my favorite code. I see payroll as a complex calculator. So to process this calculator, need three pillars, like you need to have inputs, then you need to have a process, then you will be getting outputs. So the question is why people's HR? So how people's HR gonna uh, support you, gonna simplify this entire calculation. So I'll be showcasing what are the different points you are getting inputs and how we process it and how we get all these outputs through people's HR. So it's not going to be a very lengthy discussion. I'll be sticking into around 10 to 12 minutes discussion about this. So let's jump into people's HR and see what we bring here. So this is the PeoplesHR web version. So we do have the mobile version as well. So today demo purpose, I'm using kind of a admin account which has the admin capabilities. So whenever you log into system, so this is the landing page for any employee. You will be seeing this. As you can see, you can simply apply for a leave, right? Everything in one place. You can see the leave balances, you can apply for a leave, and also you have the check-in, check-out, which is very useful input. You add your attendance record through this widget. We can integrate with the biometric devices, or else you can use our mobile application, which is connected with geotagging, geofencing facilities. Now we have Lexi AI search, so you don't need to know where to navigate. You can just type and just search and you will be directed. So this is the 201 file. So we maintain around 300 data points. As you can see, the summary of attendance data and summary of the data, right? All the data points we are maintaining, and some analytics. You can see what is your working pattern in last 7 days, what is your leave balances, what are the approved ones, under approval ones, all these insights in one place. And HR admins, they can take a good look into all the employee profiles there. Now, switching to an admin portal. So we have the quick product switch, as you just saw. So I just switched to an admin view. So you have a couple of insights here, overall insight about the organization. So let me first talk about the 201 file and what we bring in Philippine context. So all the government mandatory ID information and everything can be stored here within People's HR. So goodbye to all the hard copies. You no longer need those things. Employment details, you can see the salary grade, the cost centers, which is very useful. So you want to distribute employee costs to different cost centers. So we can have multiple cost centers, and it will be reflected once you are done with all the payroll processing. And also find you have the attendance active, payroll active status. So you can track the attendance, you can process payroll for them. Then you see their contact details you can maintain in the same place. So like many data points, I'm not going to show everything, but we have around 300 plus data points in the system itself. Then I'm actually talking about the input side. Now let's talk about the attendance inputs. So when it comes to attendance, a couple of things are required, especially the shifting part. Now, as HR admins, you are creating different shift for the organization. So it is very important to align the government regulation when you are creating the shifts, the shift times, the break times, OT hour calculation. All these rules are very, very important. So in People's HR, we cater all the local stat. As you can see, when you simply go to a shift, you can see all these shift visualizer. What's the starting time? What's the break? What's the end time? What is the overtime period you are allowing employees to do their overtime in these shifts? So you can have multiple shifts for the organization to run your operations. So and night differential, a very, very big point here in Philippines. And over time, Riasi was talking about the calculation, the multipliers. So like no matter whether it's a regular working day or a NDOT, holiday OT, right? All these things are inbuilt with People's HR. So you don't need to worry about manually putting or manually calculating these things. And especially breaks. So if you want to define like the lunch break or coffee breaks, go ahead and define it in the shift. And also the leave or the absence related calculation, how you do the under time deductions. All things are embedded in shifting. Now, once you have these different shifts and once you assign employees to shift, so they come to work, they put their thumb, they do their check-in, checkouts. It's one place you can see everything. So you see the shift dates, shift details, what is your in time, out time, and based on that, you can simply see the overtime is automatically calculated. So if there's a regular OT or a night differential OT, so everything is automated. And if you want to see any no face based on the undertime, so it is also there. One single place you manage everything. So no need to go through a lot of Excel sheets to manage all these data points, which is pretty important to process your payroll. And you can have some look on your overtime and if there are any late departures or early arrivals and what are the no pay days. And if you want to apply a leave, you can simply go there and simply clicking on that icon, you can apply a leave on the same day. So everything in one place. That's the automation we are talking about. And then let's talk about another very, very important input for attendance, which is managing your team. So no, if you are a supervisor, you really need to look into your team attendance, your team shifting, how you allocate them, to team rostering. So you can see all these team data in one place. So not only your attendance data, but also your team attendance data. And applying overtime. So here in Philippines, all of you guys are practicing prior applied OT. So it's very easy through the system itself. You can apply overtime. So you see the time period you want to apply. Just a matter of putting what's the exact overtime you need. And once you put and give a reason, so you can have different reason. It could be a month-end processing or extra covering. So you select it and you then just submit it. So it goes to an approval, and once it get approved, you will be able to do your overtime. Now again, one single place to manage everything. So the other point I want to highlight is the payroll now. We have all the insights from attendance. Now let's see how we process payroll. So we can have multiple pay groups. If you are a multi branch company or if you have a group of company, we can have multiple pay groups and multiple pay processes. So we have inbuilt processes like salary process, 13th month, leave conversions, annualization, which are very unique to Philippines. So all these things are coming as inbuilt ones, so you don't need to worry about creating all these things again and again. And especially we, Manolo's favorite department, BIR, so we maintain the tax tables and we keep updating it if something is changing. So you need to worry about these tax deductions. So this is the place where we maintain the tax deduction. So you can see the annual rates, you can see the monthly rates. If you are processing, most of the times you are processing payroll bi-weekly. You can semi-monthly. So you can see the semi-monthly ratings as well. So all these things are already available and we keep updating those things. And then another important thing when it comes to tax exemption, the 13-month pay when you are processing, so you have an exemption of 90,000 pesos. So all these things are already embedded in the system. So this is the place where we talk about the automation. So you really don't need to provide these inputs. So every calculation will automatically adjusted. So we maintain various pay items for the salary, for overtime. So another de minimis benefits, right? Like subsidiary, and also we have uniform allowances, right? You can see the uniform allowances, and also we have leave without pay deductions, right? And undertime deductions, Pagi, Phil Health, SSS contributions. All these pay items are coming with People's HR. So you really don't need to worry about aligning yourself according to the country or the regulation stack. So then let's talk about another very important thing. Sometimes you really need to uh, add more pay items to the payroll. It's very simple. You just select the pay item category and you will be seeing all the different types of pay items. If you want to add more, you can do that. And you simply download an Excel format, right? If you want to give a one-time pay item to your employees. So you download the format, you put all the relevant data and you save it and you simply upload it. So it's pretty straightforward from the front end. You don't need to go through many processes in one single place. You can upload in case if you have more additional pay items. And also to process a salary, it's pretty fast, and you will see. So you just select the relevant employees who you want to process the payroll, and you just process the payroll. Generally, we are processing payroll less than 2 minutes time for a head count more than even 500, 600. So that's the process. We have the fast ranging. So once it's been processed, you can see their pay items, the pay slip, and then you really lock this pay slip, because you once you are done with it, you don't need to change anything. So you lock the pay period data. So once you lock it, now the next thing is the creating bank file. So we create the bank file and the GL. So we maintain the GL. I'll be talking about this integration later in a later one. So GL connection we maintain. And final outputs, the reports, which are pretty required through payroll. So 13-month pay report, 1601C, 2316. So you can simply generate 2316 from the system itself. No need of doing all the calculation. We maintain the same format. You can generate the 2316, and even through digital signatures, you can distribute, and you can see different reports like your pay sheet report, which has all the relevant data like all the earnings, all the deductions, all the tax related one, all the government mandatory contribution, and all the totals, what is your net pays, and all the amounts you can see through this kind of comprehensive report. We have around 50 report formats coming only for payroll. Finally, once you're done with it, it's just a matter of distributing your payroll. So as employees, you can go there to self-service, select the pay period, and just view your payslip. You can download it as a PDF. This is accessible through web app as well as the mobile application. So no need to ask your employees to come to your office, come to your place to get their payslip. So it's very easy. Full cycle is automated. So if you are spending around 5, 6, 7, maybe a week time to process payroll, so here we are, People's HR. We are simplifying the entire process and supporting with you a lot of automation. So this is a very high level demonstration I want to highlight with People's HR payroll. But we are not limited to payroll. If you want to talk about the overall automation, so we do provide the HR strategic parts like performance evaluation, training and development, recruitment, talent acquisition, onboarding, and also talent management and analytics. So we have a very powerful analytic tools inside of People's HR, where you can create your own dashboards and engagement tools. You can conduct surveys. We can have HR help desk, ticketing tools. So all these facilities are there with People's HR, not only limiting to payroll, but we are 100% comply with Philippines Stack. So that's it from my end. Hope it was useful. Now I guess we can jump into the next part. Pila, over to you.
So thank you so much, People's HR team, for highlighting that vital path to painless payroll and compliance. Our panelists, we have Engineer Erwin Padrique, the CEO of ARC1. We have Alexandra Pilarca, the SAP Business One consultant. Riazi Samsudin, People's HR Director, Sales and Partner Management. We also have Mr. Manuel Garcia Ramos, the Country Sales Director for People's HR. And we also have Dami, the People's HR Head of Business and Development. Okay. Kanina may nabasa din akong question. So I think this will be addressed to Alexandra Pilarca. In petty cash fund, regarding on the Impress system, how do you declare the expense to the government if the record was via journal entry? So journal entry has no BP details such as the supplier or vendor name, no TIN, no VAT line. So parang nag-skip ka lang ng taxation. Now, where we are supposed to declare the supplier's details. So Alex?
Okay. So for that question is for the question natin is first, if si client po ba is naka BIRCS or naka BIR add-on. So if si client is meron na pong BIR add-on natin, they can utilize the OBP table or the other business partner table wherein dun po natin mahuhugot yung supplier or yung vendor. If naman si client is wala pang BIR add-on, ang pwede po natin gawin is the recording instead of the manual creation of journal entry, pwede po natin gamitin yung marketing document which is the AP invoice document wherein pwede nating mahugot yung supplier or yung vendor. We can add the UDF or the remarks box, pwede natin i-maximize. Then we will create a report out of those transaction posted po sa mga gagawin ninyo sa supplier.
Okay. Thank you, Lex. So, hi, Sir Robin Urgel. Hope na-answer yung question mo. So, if ever there's a follow-up, kindly chat na lang sa chat box. Okay? We also have another question for People's HR. So, how can People's HR be integrated with SAP Business One? So, I think Demi can answer.
Yep, sure, Vila. Thank you so much for that question. I guess that's the whole idea of the intersection, how we integrate with these two. So let me quickly answer and give a very straightforward and simple answer. So there are various angles we can look into this integration. So first thing is we can talk about, or we are providing the integration between the employee profiles. So in People's HR, we maintain the 201 file, so you don't need to recreate it in any other software. So we push all the employee profile data, whatever the employee profile data you require, especially in SAP B1, the key data points like the employee name, employee number, and also employee cost center details, the ones I showed you there, and any other details we can provide from People's HR, so you don't need to recreate it in SAP B1. The other point is, especially when it comes to some things related to payroll, the GL, General Ledger Integration. So in People's HR, at the end of payroll processing, so we create the GL file, meaning what is happening there now in a salary of an employee or in the earnings of an employee, there's a basic salary, then you have different pay items like your overtime, then your different allowances, and there are different deductions. Maybe it's undertime or any government loans you are paying, like SSS loan, Pagi-Big loan in Philippine context, and also various pluses and minuses are there. So we maintain the GL code mapping where you have the GL code in SAP B1 for each and every GL account. So we maintain these codes against the pay items. So at the end of pay process, you simply create this GL file. You can download it as an Excel and upload it to SAP B1, or else we can push it through APIs in between both the systems. So you really don't need to manually create the GL records relevant to the payroll. So which is very easy task for the entire finance team. So they are going through this process of manual creation of GL records. So that is covered with this integration. The next integration is actually relevant to approvals, because sometimes if you want to do any approvals in SAP B1 or in People's HR, so we maintain that organization structure, or we call it as the hierarchy of the organization, the approval process. So we can connect these approval processes, vice versa. So then you don't need to recreate these approvals everywhere in both the system. So likewise, there are a lot of integration capabilities available with People's HR. So these are some of the base integrations I'm talking when we are providing a combined solution. But we are more than happy to explore more scenarios if you have any unique or very specific requirements. I hope I have answered the questions.
Yeah, thank you, Demi. So much simpler pala din. ang pag-integrate ng People's HR to SAP Business One. Okay, another question. Does People's HR support tax annualization, and how are the statutory changes managed? Maybe this can be answered by Mr. Manolo.
Sure, I'll be happy to answer that. And the quick answer is yes. Annualization is part of compliance. Therefore, the system is designed that way for you, for organizations to be fully compliant. So annualization, as we know, is very painful at the end of the year. Preparing the alpha list, printing out the 2316 of each employee, making sure that they sign. And I just had a conversation yesterday that especially BIR changes their rules a day or two before deadline, and we scramble. So we have put that into the system, making it flexible for you to be compliant. So we also have the BIR form 1604C, which will help you. Again, it's automatic. You will just have to print it out, or rather download it and upload it into your BIR portal. So all of those things are there. Now, the second question was, how do we become compliant? I mean, how do we stay updated? So yeah, anything that's statutory requirement. So any updates in SSS, tax tables, PhilHealth contributions, pag-ibig, all of those things, we handle that. So we update the system so that you don't need to do anything. So if you cannot see that, then let us know. But we want to make sure that all of those statutory requirements are updated automatically so that you stay compliant. I hope I answered the question.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Manolo. Okay, another one for People's HR. So since AI is everywhere today, diba? What AI-driven capabilities does People's HR bring to the table? Maybe Riazi can answer this question.
Thanks, Phila. I think that's a very interesting question, because I think today the world is actually revolving around AI. Everybody is talking about AI, but where does actually People's HR bring AI? So I would say there are multiple places, because what happens is, see, if you look at People's HR, we've been in this business for the last 28 plus years. So there's a lot of domain, a lot of knowledge what we actually have within the solution. So we have not actually allowed our customers just to actually try to figure out how to use AI, which is being deployed within People's HR. So there are two ways how we have deployed this. One is basically there are multiple places where AI is inbuilt. Now, for an example, we'll say we have a C-suite executive who does not absolutely have a clue how to use the system. So why not actually get some help from AI as to figure out how to use it? If you look at the smart search, what we have actually deployed does this. I mean, even if he wants to find some of his approvals, he can simply just go and search his approvals. It will actually take him to his approvals, and he'll be able to do it right then and there. Another element is basically, now if you take a look at recruitment, now again, recruit things like who are your top candidates? Now, there's a lot of science behind actually trying to figure out who's the best candidates. It could be the job match, what do you call a database of jobs, which we have actually deployed to actually identify this. Now, again, a HR person or whoever who's managing this does not need to really go and look for this. Basically, the moment they go for a long listing, the system automatically prompts saying that these are your top candidates. It'll actually give you a job matching so that you don't have to do that hard work. And at the same time, if you look at some of the areas which you can actually work with this agentic AI. Now, for an example, we'll say you're creating a recruitment, or you're creating a new job post. Basically, you need to create advertisements. Now, system automatically starts prompting saying that, do you want to create this advertisement? Do you need help, so that, again, you don't have to navigate, but, through your, what do you call, conversations, you can actually build this workflows and the required content into this area. So multiple places which we have actually deployed on AI, and I'm definitely sure if there's anybody who would love to actually see this, my team will definitely be happy to actually visit your office and help you see this in real life.
Thank you, Riazi. Okay, so one last question to Sir Erwin. Hi, sir. So ARC1 is also using People's HR. So from the CEO's point of view, what pushed you, sir, for to use or to get People's HR also? If you can share experience.
Thank you for that question, Tila. So, I mean, in ARC1 organization, the reason why we partner with People's HR is one, because of their payroll function, the compliance itself. So payroll, just like what has been mentioned a while ago, is a very critical concern or critical issues among organizations, and of course, most especially for employees. And preparing payroll would take so much time. With People's HR, the efficiency being contributed by the tool would more than outpay the investment put into the system. So that's basically the reason why we partner with People's HR.
So yes, for the love of for the employees. Okay, so before I will ask for parting words. We already have 31 na nag-answer or respondents na nag-answer nung survey. So I would like to ask parting words muna from the panelists before we will end this Q&A segment. We will start off with Sir Erwin and down to Demi.
Yeah, again, everyone, maraming salamat to our friends in Visayas and Mindanao. Thank you very much for attending this session. So if you would have a takeaway from this session, it's the integration between People's HR and SAP B1. So the two system wouldn't be working in silos. You'll be managing it as a single solution. So whatever you do in People's HR would be reflected directly with SAP B1 or vice versa. So again, maraming salamat po. Tila?
Thank you, sir. Alex.
Sige. Okay. So, hi partner. So, I hope you learned something this afternoon. So, basically, we have different processes, no, in all company or in organizations. But the one thing in common natin talaga is companies would always want to monitor the cash flow sa business natin. So, let us as ARC1 help you if you're having challenges. So, you can always reach out to us. So, yun. Back to you, Fila.
Thank you, Lex. Riazi.
Feel actually, I had a little bit of a network issue. Would you mind actually repeating that? Yeah.
Okay. Any parting words before we will end this Q&A?
All right. Just a few pointers, because what happens is this is something very important. I always actually try to drive with my what you call customers, my partners, when they actually, especially actually interact with customers. So just by actually looking at a system, it doesn't mean that it complies everything. So what we always try to do with our customers, one important element is to make sure we showcase how it is actually done. So this means that we actually conduct a lot of detailed demos. We actually go into detail when it comes to what you call the solutioning, so that we really understand whether we are able to fully solve the customer's problems. And this is where exactly we actually had a very good partnership coming with ARC1 as well, because see, even the integration is something which actually ARC1 wanted to make sure is available, off the shelf for the customers of ARC1, so that they can easily, once they actually onboard their ERP, they have a fully integrated HRIS, so that this actually helps. So I mean, we are here to support you. We are here to support your journey in terms of transformation of your organization, and we'll be definitely willing to do so. And then I think Manolo is silent, is smiling on the side, and we are driving this what you call a fully local company within Philippines, so that we give that full 100% local flavor for all our customers and partners there.
Let's go to Manolo.
Yeah, well, thank you, Fila. Well, first of all, thank you, ARC1, for this opportunity to talk to real people. And thank you, everyone, for attending this webinar. And yeah, for me, I guess, yeah, I mean, we got a lot of pain. We got a lot of responsibility on our hands. But guess what? The solution is out there. So I would encourage everybody to have a look at the solutions that are out there that can really transform our organizations.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Demi.
Yeah. Thanks, Ila. And yeah, as the final note, thank you so much, Aquan team, as our valued partner in Philippines for organizing this forum. And I really would like to ask everyone, please reach out to Aquan team members and talk to them. We are more than happy to get to your office, meet with you, whether it's online meeting or physical meeting. So we are more than happy to come to your place, talk about this automation and talk about what best we can bring to your organization as a value addition solution. So again, thank you so much everyone for joining the day and hope we added a good value through the session.
Thank you to our experts for those illuminating answers. So it's deliver the final message for their commitment to streamlined operations. I'd like to pass the floor to our Luzon sales leader, Miss Marife Crucero. Hi, ma'am.
Hi, Phil. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining from people to payroll, smarter HR, and finance processes. We truly appreciate your time and participation today. On behalf of Arquan Solutions Inc. and PeoplesHR, thank you for being part of this session. If you have any questions or would like to continue the conversation, we'd be happy to connect with you. Before we end, we'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. May the season bring you joy, good health, and success in the year ahead. Thank you, partners. Back to you, Phil.
Thank you, ma'am. So we hope you leave here today ready to move from people to payroll with smarter integrated solutions from ARC1 and People's HR. Take care, everyone, and have a truly productive afternoon. Goodbye and happy holidays, partners.